Christian, and I'm from the Abington Board of Health. I'm here with Dan Daly from the Plymouth County Mosquito Control Project, and we'll be talking a little bit about the Plymouth County Mosquito Control Project, an update on mosquitoes this season, repellents, and a little bit about West Nile virus, Tripoli, and some other things we will decide to cover as we move along. So, Dan, I'll turn things over to you.
Well, sounds great. I'm looking forward to all those topics. I had a list of questions that came from you. You generated them off of, was it Facebook?
Facebook, yes.
Yeah. And what was interesting to me is some people weren't really aware that we exist. Mm-hmm. And they're not sure what the connection is between Abington and Plymouth County Mosquito Control. And there's a whole group of people who have been using us on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, requests for our services are up by 62% this year. So we have to bring those other folks on board. So Plymouth County Mosquito Control, despite the name, we're not a county organization. We're actually under the state. And all the communities in Plymouth County are part of it. And so is the town of Cohasset, which is sort of landlocked in Plymouth County. And those are all the communities that we serve. And each town has to vote to become a member of the project. And Abington has been a member of the project as long as I can remember. And so each town funds, there's a formula that the state has, and only they can explain it. Only they can explain it. But so each town pays into it, and it doesn't come up at town meeting because it's something that's on the cherry sheet. So the town is assessed for our services, and then they give them the money, and the state takes it right back again. So, so when people call us for our services, those services have already been paid for by the town of Abington, and so it's one of the questions: are you going to spray? If you call us, you have to call us. We don't just go around randomly spraying. But if people call us, we certainly do that. But there's a slide that shows life cycles of mosquitoes. I think it's probably good to show a little bit about the life cycle because that really explains better what we do and why we do it. So here's the one that you're looking at up on the screen right now shows mosquitoes. In the top left, that's a mosquito laying its eggs in a body of water. And that water, by the way, has to be stagnant, shallow. Any movement at all, those eggs, when they hatch out, they'll just drown right away. So on the top right, you can see the mosquito larvae. And you can see that they have a breathing tube at the, that they have to get through the water. Then they wiggle their way down to the bottom. And really, if you're going over 24 inches, that's a stretch because they're so small. And they're going to try to eat organic materials off the bottom of that area that they're in. And after a bit, they switch to another stage, the pupa stage. We can see the bottom right. And they stop eating and they start shedding their skin. And now we can see in the middle that adult mosquito emerging from the water. It looks like something that should have been in a horror movie, something you should see on Netflix or something like Netflix late at night. And now we see the adult mosquito has come out of the water, and it'll sit on the top of the water for just a little bit to dry its wings. So with that, that helps once you understand how the mosquito life cycle is. And by the way, that life cycle, as you know, we've had some pretty warm weather recently. Normally I tell people if you get rain, and that rain stays for 7 days, in a puddle it could breed mosquitoes. When it's this hot, it could be 5 days. So rain plus 5 days right now could equal mosquitoes. One of the things we do is we have to find out, well, where are the mosquitoes? You know, where are they breeding? And we have 3,500 plus breeding sites that we check on a regular basis throughout the project. And so a worker will go out into an area like this with this standing water, and it looks like it has a little white cup at the end of a stick. That's because it is a white cup at the end of a stick. You dip it in, and those, we're seeing mosquito larvae in that cup. So now we know that the mosquitoes are breeding there. And again, there's another shot of the mosquitoes trying to get their breathing tubes through the surface. We know we have to do something with that site. And one of the things we do, it's probably in the past, I'm going to say 8 years, we've really started to digitally catalog all the breeding sites. So if we know a site breeds a particular time of year, we know enough to go there. There are different species of mosquitoes that breed different times during the mosquito season, but we have that catalog. Back, I hate to go into ancient history, but back when I started as a summer job with mosquito control, it was all on index cards. And the index cards would describe how to get there. The dirt road, the big rock, the fallen tree, and those are now all developed properties. So obviously the GPS equipment has made that so much easier for a new guy to come on and get out and find those sites. If you hear on the news that there's EEE or West Nile virus been found somewhere in Plymouth County, the odds are that that's because we found them in our mosquito traps. You see two of the traps that we use. The one on the left-hand side is a CO2 baited light trap. And so that mimics the breathing of an animal or a human. And the light at night will bring those mosquitoes in. And the mosquitoes we're trying to get in that CO2 baited light trap are the ones that would have EEE. And over on the right-hand side, you're seeing something that's called a gravid trap. And that's the one we use looking for mosquitoes that might have West Nile virus. You see it's placed, it's somebody's DPW with all the old tires there. And that's a favorite breeding spot of mosquitoes. So what our entomologist does is she brews this horrendous stuff. And the stink is awful. She puts it, can we go back to that last slide for a second? So she'll pour this stuff. I mean, it really is putrid smelling. Very attractive to the particular mosquito we're looking for. And they'll come into that, it looks like a sort of something you put paint in, to roll of paint. And she pours it in there. A couple of sticks go across, a very unimpressive looking, it looks like a toolbox or somebody's fishing tackle box, but it actually has a battery in it and it has a fan in it, so and netting. So when that mosquito comes to lay its eggs, it gets sucked up into the trap. So we typically have these traps out Monday, and then they go and collect them on Tuesday, bring them back to the lab on a Wednesday, and that lab shot would be pretty good right here. And our entomologist and her assistant actually count and identify every single mosquito that we collect. And at the end of the day, once they've done all that, we'll take those mosquitoes that we've caught and we'll send them into Mass Department of Public Health, and they'll find out if any of those samples had EEE or West Nile virus in them. And of course, then that's announced to the town. I have a slide that might be good here for residents if they want to keep up on that particular issue. That it's a website, and it's called mosquitoresults.com. So if you go down to, again, on your own, this is trying to get through some of the websites of the state. It can be a very difficult, challenging process. So that's why I thought, mosquitoresults.com. There it is. And if anything is found in the state of Massachusetts, it's listed there, and it's updated every week. This is the most recent one, and you can see, if looking at it, that we've found in the state 1 West Nile virus mosquito, and 2 so far with EEE. And at the top, where it says the results in blue, if you click on that, it'll tell you where and when and what species the mosquito was that was found. Below that, and it's still on that same site, they have risk maps. So the state will assess the risk for each community. And on that same page, if you click on whatever color it is for your community, which is now the light blue, which is a good place to be, it'll tell you what precautions they think you should take in case things start to take off around here. So I think that's something that people can use and just keep on top of it themselves.
Some fantastic information so far. A lot of places I didn't even know to visit, and I'm really glad that you brought them up and mentioned them. I want to talk a little bit about this season so far.
Sure.
How are we looking so far?
Well, overall, even though Abington's requests are up, overall in the county, the total numbers are down a little bit from last year. Some communities are having a lot more struggles with the numbers of mosquitoes, and some are finding it a pretty light year. So, but we have none of those results yet are Plymouth County results. The two EEE were in Bristol County, and the West Nile virus was in Suffolk County. So it's really hard to predict where we're going to go from here. Does it get rainier? Or does it, I know we're going to have some significant rain in the very near future. Will that stay, or will it warm up again and dry things out? And that will certainly impact what will be going on. But we monitor it, and it's important for people to know that, again, we go back to what we do and what can Abington folks do. If they want to contact us and request us to come out and spray for adult mosquitoes that are being bothered, we'll be out there. But they have to call. We're not, again, we just don't go out and spray. Now, let's say if virus was found in Abington, we'd be taking pretty good care of Abington. We wouldn't be waiting for people to have to give us a call. On the screen, we say we already talked about the disease and mosquito monitoring and breeding site identification. Site reduction is something we do. If we can get rid of something that breeds mosquitoes, we're going to do that. Larviciding is, again, going to that site where we found those mosquitoes, and we might treat that site. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. And the adulticiding part is when you call us to spray. If you have property, though, that you have some wetland near you, and you say, I don't know if Plymouth County knows about that. I think that's breeding mosquitoes. If you give us a call, we'll go out and we'll check that site out. And if we find breeding, we'll let you know we found it, and then we'll take steps to try to resolve that situation for you. When people call us to come out and spray their homes, it would be beneficial if they could get some of the neighborhood on board with them. We'll come out and we'll spray a house, but it's really better if we can get some neighbors to call, and collectively will be much more effective when we do that.
Yeah, and I know a lot of our questions on Facebook were about spraying. Will my yard be sprayed? Yeah. And it seems like a big concern for a lot of people is just making sure that their community and their houses and their neighborhoods are getting sprayed.
It is, and we have the technology. We actually can follow any one of our drivers out there, and we can show when the sprayer was turned on, when it was turned off, the exact route they took, which is a critical piece for us because there are people that don't want any part of our spraying them. So there's a process they go through the state to become no-spray properties, and when one of our trucks gets close to that, the sprayer automatically shuts off. So it just, there's no chance of them getting sprayed. But it's still good to know that they can verify that. And if someone goes on our website, you call for service, you say, I wonder if they've sprayed me, I wonder when they're going to spray me. If you go on our website, you can actually follow the truck routes for the next day or see where they were during the day. And we have it up on the screen now at PlymouthMosquito.org is our website. You go on there, tremendous amount of information, but particularly what we're talking about right now is at 3 o'clock every day, we post where we're going to be the next day. So you would see every town in Plymouth County we're going into, and it will list the exact streets that we're going to be on, and which I think is great for people to be able to not have to call. Where they're here, we're going to try to call, and we get probably 260 calls a day on a slow day. And so if you're just calling in to check that, you might you might take a while to do that. So fortunately, the website will take care of that for you. I think, Aaron, you were saying to me some people were concerned. What is it that we're spraying? Exactly. Yeah. And that's worth talking about. We have small white pickup trucks with ultra low volume sprayers. When I say low volume, when we go out and spray for adult mosquitoes, we use a product called Duet. And we put on 0.62 ounces per acre. And roughly an acre is visualized as maybe a football field. So 0.62 ounces. And out of that 0.62 ounces, most of that is not the actual chemical. So the chemical we use, in the duet, we have something called prolethrin, and that's 1%, sumethrin 5%, and this other stuff called PBO that really makes the other two much better working. So we'll go out at night, around 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning, we start spraying. And normally that's a time that mosquitoes would be resting. They're getting ready for the morning rush, right around dawn when they come out to feed again. So so this stuff is called, the PBO in it is referred to as a benign agitator. And so it doesn't harm anything, but it gets the mosquitoes flying, gets them up, and they don't even know why they're up. They're just flying around, and then the chemical will hit them and knock them down. And it is a contact spray. It leaves no residue whatsoever. You could not find that in the morning. There's absolutely no residue. So a couple of things there. If you think you might have mosquitoes, but you're not sure, you think, it's not like a savings bank. You're not going to go in and we're not going to be able to put that spray out, and if they come in the next week, we'll kill them. It'll only kill them if they're there. So there's nothing on shrubs. There's nothing that will kill afterwards. And people don't have to take the bowl in from the dog's water bowl if it's outside, or anything like that. You don't have to shut your windows. It's 89% of what goes out in that sprayer is like a light oil that's used just to help spread that out. So if you ever got behind us and you had your lights on in your car, you would not be impressed with what you saw. You would not be impressed with what's coming out of that sprayer. It's such a very, very fine spray, and the breezes just take it, and we can get up to a 99% kill in an area. But again, people need to be troubled, with mosquitoes. They have to be swatting them to really make it effective. Otherwise, we'd be wasting our time, and we'd be wasting our product just to come out and spray. It's not on the layaway plan. It doesn't work that way. But again, if you go on that website we talked about, we have a whole thing for pesticides to take a look at them. What is it that you're using? And all the fact sheets are there for them. And when we go out and we treat for the mosquito larva, we find that breeding spot. That's also listed on our website. There's a product called BTI, and it was discovered in Israel in the late 70s. And it's just something that it's a dead bacteria. It's not live. It's a dead bacteria that crumbles up, forms spores, goes into the water, and the mosquitoes will, as they get down to eat the organic material, they'll take in the BTI, and their gut explodes. That's pretty much the end of the story with that. Once again, the only thing that is harmful to are mosquitoes, black flies, nothing else. And so it's harmful. Harmless, I should say. Harmful, very harmful to mosquitoes. So those are basically the two things we use that are out there, but more detailed information is on our website for people to go take a look at if they want to.
Another question I think came up on there as well is about bats and mosquitoes, how effective bats are of eating mosquitoes and such.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about spraying and repelling mosquitoes essentially.
We know that bats will eat mosquito, but it's not effective in reducing the population. Now that bat could eat the mosquito that's going to bite you. So that's beneficial to you. But overall, in controlling the population of mosquitoes, bats are not very effective. And I read in an article a number of years ago, it was estimated that the 1.6% of a bat's diet is made up of mosquitoes, and they're out for bigger game than that. So they're not going to bother you, but don't count on it.
Right.
Just because you have bats in the neighborhood, don't forget to use the repellent. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Moving on a little bit, you touched a little bit before about West Nile virus and Triple E. Do you mind talking a little bit more about, we're getting to that point in the season where, that may start to become a concern in this area. What, maybe just touch on a little bit more. West Nile virus and Triple E have one similarity, in that a mosquito has to bite an infected bird to get the virus. So a mosquito that's just hatched off is not capable of spreading either West Nile virus or Triple E. It has to take a blood meal from a bird
that is infected with one or the other, and that's how that starts. And typically, the small numbers of people with triple E, but in the United States, the statistics are 35% of those who ever get triple E will die, and everyone else will have lifelong issues that they're going to be dealing with. With West Nile virus, most likely there's people watching this that have had West Nile virus. They don't even know it, because the vast majority of cases show no symptoms whatsoever. And or if they show a little something, it might be they think they have a summer cold or something like that. There's no significant symptoms. It's only a very, very tiny percentage that will actually show symptoms that will need to be taken care of medically. And so when you take a look at that website where we show the state identifying how many mosquitoes were found, they'll also tell you if an animal has been found with either West Nile or triple E, or whether a human has been found with it. And so once again, that's a good website to follow. In most cases, being over 50 makes you at higher risk health-wise for either one of them, which is a great thrill to know that you're really desirable to mosquitoes. But yeah, so right now it's early. I think last year the largest number of mosquitoes identified and people infected was really after late August into September. So July is usually the beginning of starting to see some things. We should see more as August moves around, but just because the kids go back to school in September doesn't mean you should let your guard down. When I only say that because it's when Labor Day comes, our calls for service just kind of drop, and people seem to forget it. You know, it's almost over, and it could go well into October some years.
Wow.
Yeah, so we just have to, again, keep an eye on it. As we said, we'll be talking about repellents in a little bit, and I think it's important that they can call us, and we can do what we can, getting rid of mosquito larvae, we're getting rid of the adult mosquitoes as best we can. There's a lot of things people can do for themselves, and using repellent is certainly one. We would hate to think somebody would say, well, you know, Plymouth County was just here yesterday, they sprayed. We don't have to worry about using repellent. No, that's absolutely not true.
Especially removing stagnant water from tires and such.
Yeah, you know,
there's a lot of things in that regard.
You know, one of the favorite breeding sites of mosquitoes, you're mentioning tires, are just tires that are sitting in maybe out behind somebody's garage or on the side of the road. That little bit of water that's in the bottom tends to breed a lot of mosquitoes. And one of the services we provide, not this time of year, right now we're focused on spraying and the larviciding end of it and identifying, you know, disease if possible. But in the fall, after the spraying stops, if people have tires they want to get rid of, we'll take them. We'll take them. Just give us a call. We've had people tell us, you know, I've had these tires in my backyard for a number of years. Number one, I don't want to get dirty picking them up. Number two, it's going to cost me $20 or whatever per tire to get rid of. You call us, we'll take them, and there's no charge for it, because those are important breeding sites for mosquitoes. So we can help get rid of that. That's important. Right now, we just don't have the manpower to be doing it this time of year, but people could be going out into their own yards and dumping standing water as well. That bird bath, you know, that could be a site. Anything on your property that holds standing water, again, for more than 5 to 7 days, could be a breeding site for mosquitoes. And that particular mosquito, the Culex pipiens mosquito, is the one most associated with West Nile virus. So, and they don't tend to travel very far. You know, where they were hatched out is where they hang out. And so people can do themselves a huge favor by draining that standing water on their property.
Yeah. You spoke of repellents before, and I think let's kind of pivot that way. You have a beautiful array of repellents sitting right in front of you if you want to talk about repellents.
You know, it's funny, part of my job is not to sell these products, but I do want to sell the concept of getting an EPA registered product. And all of these, and you can see on the backs of them, right, just tiny, tiny writing. Even with my glasses, it's a challenge for me to read it sometimes, is an EPA registration number. So whether you're going out, the brand name doesn't make any difference. The product in it doesn't make a whole lot of difference as long as it has that EPA registration number. And there are other products out there that don't have the EPA registration on it. They're called exempt products. The EPA has to list them. So if you're going to put a repellent together and you go out and look in stores, you'll find stuff without the EPA registration number on it. I can tell you this, it's one of 31 or maybe many combinations of these 31 things that are exempt according to the EPA. EPA says they're probably safe for human use, but we don't know if they work. So if people are comfortable with that, I'm not going to, this is safe to put on my skin, it might work, it might not work. I would just encourage them really to look for the EPA registration number, because what that means is it was tested and it's been approved. It's safe for human use and it's effective. And there's a website that we have. I have an EPA website that I wanted people to see where they can go on and do research for themselves. It's actually a search tool that the EPA put together. So you can go on there and it says, find the repellent that's right for you. If you go to that particular site, there's a search tool under there that you can type in, say, I have product X here, and I have that EPA number, type in that number, and they will tell you everything about that particular product that you have. And, or you can just do a general search. You don't have to fill in any blanks, just hit search, and you'll see all, I believe there's 600 and some odd products on the market that have been approved by the EPA. And it'll tell you how many hours. Is it good for ticks? Is it good for mosquitoes as well? How many hours? And again, I'd encourage people to use that. But when you go to the store, at the very least, spend some time looking for that EPA registration. Now, this particular product, I probably shouldn't be handling it like this. And I don't want to drive the camera guy nuts, but this is, the particular product in here is DEET. And there are over 500 products on the market with DEET in it. So it's 85%, approximately 85% of what's for sale is DEET. But it's not the only stuff out there. It's good stuff. Some people don't like to use it. They don't like the feel on their skin. They're worried about over-application of DEET. And I would just encourage people, if that's you and you don't like DEET, consider one of these other products. I have one here that is oil of lemon eucalyptus. Oil of lemon eucalyptus, EPA approved. World Health Organization approves it. Massachusetts approves that, DPH. And it's very effective on ticks and mosquitoes. The only thing with that is you better like the smell of lemon, because you're going to smell very lemony. So if you're okay with that, as I've told some parents going camping, put that on your children, then play hide and seek. You'll find them every time. There's no way they're hiding from you with that smell of lemon on there. The product next to it is a synthetic version of oil of lemon eucalyptus, and it's something that's, again, very effective. And you see something on it, PMD, and the key is right there is that EPA registration. Look for that EPA. One of the most popular in the world is, in Europe especially, is something they call icaridin, and in this country we call it picaridin. And you can find it all over the place. Again, it's recommended highly, World Health Organization, Centers for Disease Control, Massachusetts, DPH, and it has a totally different feel. They describe it as a clean feel. It's just as effective. It works, and you can find them in some random places. I just happen to be, not making fun of any places, but you don't have to go to a sporting goods store and pretend you're a camper if you're not. You just want to use this stuff. I've bought some great stuff at one of my favorite stores, Ocean State Job Lot. Tends to have a lot, and a lot of it is EPA registered. Most of it is. Christmas tree shops, supermarkets, Walmart's, they're on sale everywhere, and you might find some of this other stuff. I know you're going to find DEET. You can't avoid DEET. Again, if you have 85% of the market. But I want people to feel comfortable that if it's not DEET and it has that EPA registration number, trust it. Trust it. Now, the ones that are exempt, I just brought this list, and I just thought I'd give people examples. There are 31 ingredients you can put into a repellent that, again, the EPA doesn't say it works, just say it's safe. It's safe. You can do this. So cinnamon oil, cedar oil, corn oil, dried blood, garlic oil, geranium oil, mint oil, rosemary oil. I'll leave it at that. You can mix all those things up and make your own repellent and apparently sell it because they're safe to use. They're exempt from the EPA study. But once again, I hate to hammer it too much, but I think the EPA registration number is a huge piece for people.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that go out and just find whatever repellent they can and don't really look for that type of information, and obviously very, very effective, very helpful.
Yeah, and if you go on to that EPA site, now first of all, it should tell you directions and exactly how it's supposed to be used. But I used to spend a lot of time going fishing, and I just wear my shorts as I go through the shrubs, and I'd spray something on, and I think I was protecting myself, and I get home and say, well, put on the DEET, and then I went on the website. I wasn't strong enough. It would not have protected me from ticks. So it's important knowing the right percentages, and you can search that out right at that EPA website.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for that information. I want to open it up if there's anything else, maybe some more questions or anything else you wanted to mention that we hadn't covered already.
Maybe there were some other questions in here that we haven't. We talked about the bats. What can you do to help eliminate them and the diseases we carry? Well, as we said, we can't eliminate them. We can reduce the population, and hopefully there's not much you can do to get rid of the disease. Again, that mosquito has to bite the infected bird. And hopefully we catch it in time, we treat it in time, and not going to have that much of an impact on the human population, we hope. If you kill a mosquito, where can you bring it to be tested for a triple E or other viruses? They don't want that. They don't want that. The state certainly wouldn't encourage that. But trust me, we send them in from all over Plymouth County, and they're tested every week, and they'll be tested every week probably through well after Labor Day. And so I think we have you covered that way. And we've talked about the chemicals, but I think maybe just people remembering, yes, you are part of Plymouth County Mosquito Control. Yes, please call us if you want us to come out and check for mosquito breeding, come out and spray your property, or after Labor Day, come out and remove any tires that you would like us to get rid of. Get rid of that breeding site for you.
Absolutely. Again, Dan, you have your information from Plymouth County Mosquito up there.
Yeah.
They can get in touch with you via email or phone.
I think we have, they can certainly go on the website, but they need our phone number or a fax number. Believe it or not, we still accept faxes. And that's a great thing for neighbors who have access. So we have cases where a whole street, the information gets faxed to us, and we can go and spray that whole street. And you can see the numbers are up there. And you have our phone number up there if you want to call and request anything from us. But be patient. Again, if you get a typical day, 260 calls, don't be surprised if it's going to take a while. We're actually we've moved from Kingston. We're now at the airport in Plymouth. We're right out in the street. I believe it's 272 South Meadow Road. And we're actually having people come in and making requests. And I said, last time I was there, I said, so these requests, are they like Carver people, Plymouth people? I said, no, we're having people from all over Plymouth County. They're just coming down and making those requests. They don't want to make the phone call, or they don't have a fax, but you can do that. You can go to the expense of mailing a letter. But I think there's probably enough ways you can get that done. But certainly we're there for you. And yeah, any more questions? You have my email address. Be happy to answer them for you. And I suspect any questions you might have can be answered by going to our website. A lot of good information there.
Now, thank you so much. I think we talked about a lot. We covered a lot here, and hopefully that information is helpful to you, the viewer. And again, thank you so much.
All right. I thank you for having me. It's terrific. Thank you.